There we go. Okay, so yeah, we will be starting here in Lijiang Tower. Then we will be going over to Escort, and it'll be the loser picks between Dorado and Rialto. Then we'll be playing through Assault, Hybrid, and then Control in the end as well. We'll get to those as they come up, but for now, we will be getting ready here. We will be starting on Lijiang Night Market, and it's going to be interesting to see what we see out of these teams here. There have obviously been some meta changes fairly recently. Goats is somewhat in the wane, but a lot of teams, that is what the comp they've got practiced. We'll see if we see more of the same here, or if we do start to see these teams moving towards some new compositions, given the changes in armor.
Yeah, and during Open Div playoffs, we saw a lot of 4 DPS comps. I'm not sure if these teams would have practiced those yet because they aren't up to the caliber of those Open Div teams. So I think we will be seeing a lot of goats or just generic 222 comps, not branching into those 4 DPS, as we do head in here with mirror comps on both sides, just your regular Zen goats here. And they will be meeting in the middle by the lion statues, as it does seem like waitresses of the year are moving onto the point quickly. Koalas and Plat going around the side here, as they will be engaging onto the point now. So it's going to be Sheepdart. Sheepdart is taken down there by Clockworks, finesse down by Respect Women on the Zarya, and Zenyatta, ABC Doggo taken down by Windowmaker, and that will be a lost fight there, and they're just going to be getting staggers, and that is the first point to Koalas in.
Koalas and Plat taking a very dominant first fight there. They rotate through, they get into the... they come around from the side, and perhaps a bit more coordination there as they push onto the point. The early kill onto the brig, absolutely the go button for that. Finesse is very close to his Earth Shatter though.
But he just got taken down straight away, and that's a main tank down early into the fight here, as they are going to be pushing up towards their spawn, and that Sheepdart taken down by Lieutenant Chestnut, and that's going to have to be a reset there for waitresses of the... But we do see a couple ults coming up there.
Absolutely, and it looks like they are all the way up on the spawn camp. That said, Finesse and J-Hole both have those tank ults available, and despite the fact that they've been losing the fights, it does actually look like Waitress of the Year up in the old economy, so interesting thing there. But it's not a huge advantage there, as Clockworks is going to get his Shatter online. Respect Women very close to the Graviton as well, and it's really going to come down to which team executes first.
Oh, that was a lot of ults pop there. That was 2 Shatters, a Diva Bomb, and a grab, and it does look like it's going in the hand of Waitresses of the Year. That's 3 picks for them, and that's going to be another grab popped by Koalas and Plat. We do have Finesse and Clockwork 1v1 here. Clockworks with the Discord, so it should be going to Waitresses of the Year, and they will take this point with 65% on the 64 on the point.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a late grab coming out from Respect Women there. Does get a lot of people, but too many casualties already on their team, making it too hard to get through. That said, we are going for an early fight here. Lieutenant Chestnut already down, and there goes Oak as well. So it looks like we will be seeing... Oh, a Shadow from Finesse, actually, as they drive them all the way back to school.
Yeah, possibly a little bit of wasted shadow, but that is Windowmaker out of mech here, and that will be a big stagger. Just they pull back here and leave that Diva out of mech, and it'll be... And just doing for the quick swap to get back in mech. That is interesting. All out charge gone now on that Diva Bomb, as Koalas and Plat do seem to move up onto the point. They're going around the side here, and Witches of the Year rotating back to the point, and they are going to be engaging right on the point here.
Yeah, absolutely. Fight breaking out. There's the grab. There's the bomb being thrown through. Does manage to catch Smitty, and Lieutenant Chestnut going down there as well. So already a big advantage in this fight going over to Wages of the Year.
Yeah, Wages of the Year should have this fight cleaned up, and it does look like it'll just be Respect Women there. Okay. And that's going to be another jump off there for Oak as well, but Mexeri will get that ult charge.
They do get a crucial boop onto J-Hole though before Oak goes down. That could be an opening there, as it does mean that if they're able to group quickly, they can push in without the Zarya being there for the defenders, because obviously they will have the benefit of the speed boost on the side of Waitresses and Plat as they push forwards.
And they are going to be engaging at the front of this point. There is a shatter up, and that's going to be one not quite blocked, but that's a huge shatter there by Finesse, and Wages of the Year really should clean up at this fight. They do have picks onto the brick and the Rhyme with, and that's just going to be their fight. 90% here, and they're going to have, and Koalas and Plat are really going to have to try and run back to take this point, and it looks like this first point will be going to Wages of
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to even get onto that point if you're Koalas and Plat, and I don't think they're going to be able to make it on, as sure enough, we do tick over to 100% there. There's the celebratory ultimates coming out. As we clean up Night Market, that is a 1-0 advantage in favor of Koalas and Plat.
Yeah, Koalas in the hand of Waitresses of the Year, I believe.
Waitresses of the Year, you are correct. My apologies.
Yeah, Waitresses of the Year, once they got that point control, I think they were getting a lot of their ult economy up quite quickly, which really just got them into those early fights, even though they were losing that point.
Absolutely, and it's also just that extra bit of focus fire to get those opening picks. So we're seeing perhaps a little less coordination coming out from the members of Koalas and Plat. They're not able to get these early focus. They're not able to focus down the targets as easily to get those early kills in the fights, and it just means that the better coordination coming out of the members of Koalas and Plat really paying over. But we are going to have a fight breaking out in this white room here.
And it does look like there's quite split. There is a lack of a respect win, but Sheepdog will be taken down by their Miram and just Finesse trying to charge up. They're all 41% on there at the moment. Cheeky charging will be getting respect women on that, and that should be time to move in now for Waitresses of the Year. They are going to claim up. It's still 3 down for both sides. They're going to be coming back now, and it's going to be close. That's for the rally popped as well, and left Lieutenant Chestnut cleaning up, and that will be Koalas and Plat should be able to take that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a bit unfortunate there that, yeah, I mean, they lost, they got the early pick onto Sheepdart, and from there, big advantage coming out. Windowmaker actually going to jump off the map to get the mech back. That is an opening to potentially push in if you are the members as a Waitress of the Year. They're rotating through to the white room, and they're going to make a push here, 5v6.
On a crucial shield drop there to allow Finesse to pull off that shatter, and that will be this fight going to Waitresses of the Year already. That's 4 down, and that will be this fight's clean up, and it's just going to be extra ult charge here that Windowmaker's giving them, and that's fairly decisive there. Windowmaker probably a bit too late on the reset. At that point, you're better off just staying and trying to get your mech back quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And huge shatter coming out from Finesse there, just absolutely putting everyone on the ground, making it really easy to clean that one up. So that's really going to put them in a great position. The follow through from that fight means Finesse is already 70% back on his shatter, and in fact he has it up now, so that is huge.
Yeah, Finesse looking to pop the shatter here and doesn't get anyone in. It's blocked by the Zarya bubble, but there will be grabs. A lot of ults being popped here. The sound barrier for Koalas of the Year being popped as well, but it's going 2 picks for Waitresses of the Year. That is trans popped for Koalas and Plat, and ABC Doggo does go down to respect women. This is quite a close fight here at the moment, as they are pushing on to the point of that Smitty taken down, and it should be Waitresses of the Year taking this one out. It's just the Diva and the Lucia on point against them, and it's with just Windowmaker now, and that will be the clean up there.
Absolutely. So that point still ticking up. We're at 46% and climbing for the members as a Waitress of the Year. They're in the driver's seat here. That said, we do have a lot of ultimates coming online for their opponents in Koalas and Plat. They've got the Shadow, they've got the Diva Bomb, they're going to have the grab very shortly. They've got a lot of tools to initiate that one. That said, there's a lot of defensive support ultimates as well. So it's really going to come down on how cleanly they can execute here to try and set up that bomb combo.
Yeah, huge shadow block there from J-Hole with the bubble popping off, and that's going to be Lieutenant Chestnut taken out. That's a huge grab there from J-Hole. J-Hole just really winning that fight, and that's a very late grab there from Respect Women, and that probably could decide this next fight. Not having that grab didn't need to be popped, and it might be a lack of communication, not knowing that their entire team was dead, as it's very hard when you're tunnel visioning and not knowing whether your team's there to support or not. And
yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
be going to the last fight here.
We will be heading over to the last fight, and it's almost unfortunate then, given how late that grab was, that ABC Doggo actually popped the trance into it. But here comes the self-destruct over the top. They're getting the early kills. This is looking very good.
Yeah, but they are going to be rotating back to this point. It will just be Windowmaker on the point to try and stack this for as long as they can. They are taking out a mech, and that will be the second point, most likely heading to... They won't be able to recontest this. That's Waitresses of the Year taking this first map quite dominantly after that, retaining that first.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a really, really dominant performance here from Waitresses of the Year. They just were that much more coordinated in their attacks. They're getting more value from their ultimates. They're not throwing out grabs after the team fight's already over. And that's sort of crucial there, because that is something you just can't afford to be doing. And it really shows with the ending scoreline. Just really dominant performance from them here, especially on Gardens, where they pretty much had control of the point the entire time.
Yeah, and I think that's just going to be something they have to work on, Koalas and Plat. They're not quite communicating as much, but most teams really use this first control map as sort of a warm-up map, getting into their team play a bit more, because not a lot of teams will be properly doing 6v6 comps or even a scrim before their matches, and it will be a choice between Dorado or Rialto here, and it'll be interesting to see what they choose here, Koalas and Plat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to say which map they'd sort of be favored on based on what we've seen of them so far. Certainly, both of these teams very goats heavy so far. You'd almost feel like Rialto might be the map that is going to play into that style the best, but given that they've just come off second best in that sort of contest rather, I'm not sure that's where you want to go. And have they? No, they haven't decided the map yet, so we're still just waiting for the teams to come up with their answer to that one.
Yeah, a bit rusty first game back after almost a month and a half wait after the last season of AAOL ended. So just trying to get back into it. And so it'll be interesting to see if it is Dorado or Rialto. I know a lot of teams will be practicing both maps if they did their scrims, because obviously you can't choose if you win the previous. And Dorado is more of a dive heavy map, but if most teams are just set in the GOAT's mindset, it will be hard to sort of break that. And we're just waiting on a map pick here, still from Koalas and Plat.
Yeah, absolutely. Dorado, an interesting one because it's one of those maps that you often see three different compositions on each of the points. Because that first point you can absolutely goats through, but when you get to second, if you run out of momentum, you are going to need to swap to something that can actually contest that high ground. And of course, once we get back into the third stage of it, we once again head into a very brawly headspace. Whereas, on the other hand, Rialto, much less changing between each of the stages. It is a very momentum-based map. It's very defense-favored as well, and definitely one that you can just really lock down with those beefy brawl comps from start to finish.
Yeah, the third point on Rialto is so difficult to push through sometimes, especially if they get you to reset, they can just hold on that corner and get easy picks when you're coming out of spawn.
And yeah, absolutely. Absolute nightmare from start to finish. I mean, Rialto has so many nasty places to deal with if you're attacking in general. It's, that first point can also be just an absolute nightmare because you're guaranteed to get two fights there. You can go for an early hold on the bridge and then still get back for a fight in that courtyard as well. And both the positions for those fights favor the defenders. So very, very good map to defend on. But it looks like we will actually be heading over to Dorado. It's going to be interesting if we do see some variety out of these teams or if it's just going to be the Goats v Goats matchup. I think if you are Koalas in Plat, you're probably thinking maybe you need to change things up and try something else because you just have not been winning those Goats on Goats matchups so far.
Yeah, and this first point can be very difficult for Goats to be pulling off. Obviously, if you're going to play Goats, you want to challenge them on that high ground straight away. So going out your left side of spawn, going under and rotating around. But these teams, they might not be quite prepared on how to take this map into Goats because chances they might be screwing Rialto or just like don't want to play Rialto because they're going to be losing those Goats v Goats matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. So just waiting for the teams to get ready. It seems like maybe some of the players having some issues. It's really been a lot of delays tonight, unfortunately, but that's sort of the teething problems of coming back after a month and a half. A lot of people finding out that everything's not quite as well greased as perhaps they were expecting, but we'll keep it moving along here. And I think maybe we might be finally ready to head in. I certainly hope so, because I'm running out of ways to vamp this.
And we will be heading in here now, it does look like. And so we'll be your blue team waitresses of the year, going to be defending first, and Koalas and Plat will be attacking first. Be interesting to see what these teams pull out on this first point. And this first point, I think, is going to be very important for Koalas and Plat. It's going to set their mood for the rest of this game, I think. And if they're not able to push past this first point, it could be detrimental.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really interesting in Ascent last night. We saw both teams there pulling out the quad DPS comps here on Dorado. Obviously, the Ascent team's a bit higher level, and so perhaps they've done a bit more practice and had a bit more prep time to adapt to the new meta, and thus able to start adapting to strats coming out of Korean contenders. Whereas these teams, a bit lower seed and perhaps a bit slower to adapt to the meta changes, because obviously the quad DPS is very mechanically demanding as well. Not every team's going to be able to roll that one out, simply because you need a lot of players with very high mechanical skills to pull it off. And so it looks like... Oh, go ahead.
And you'd also need a good Hammond player with that, and with how the meta's been recently, you won't have many people who would have trained up on Hammond at these... at not the top ranks where they are expected to be playing all main tanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like we are going over to a more classic 2-2-2 from the defenders. They're going to be playing Reaper, and they're going to be playing Ashe here. Interesting choice with the Lucio Mora defense. It's obviously still going to be very brawly, and it does help. It will help for speeding that Reaper in if they want to pick a fight. The attackers, on the other hand, coming out with a dive-based composition, but running the Widow to go for some long-range poke, backed up by that Genji. And we will just be exchanging a bit of poke here. The defenders are really going to have to initiate onto this composition or get that rotation, because... Ooh, yeah,
early pick onto Maxeri there, and Oak is taken down by the charge, but Lieutenant Chestnut just really cleaning up here. Sheepdog does get to pick onto Respect Women, but Lieutenant Chestnut just really taking a lot of picks there, but it does look like Clockworks is heading back to spawn, possibly to the swap off to the right. And Widowmaker is taking that pick off onto Finesse as well, and yeah, it will be Clockworks coming back, and Lieutenant Chestnut just getting another pick here, just controlling this fight, even without their main tank there at the moment, just able to push through and just get those picks that are so important for their team. And Smitty taking down ABC, Doggo, and Sheepdart taken down by Widowmaker. It's really just a bit of a roll in that first point.
Yeah, absolutely. Just LT Chestnut able to get the setup there on the Widow and just pick down the defenders. And they just, unfortunately, didn't really have any tools available to contest that Widow. Callus Rex now going over to the Widow, try and countermatch it. Let's see if that pays off. And J-Hole actually taking out LT Chestnut early here. This is going to be an opportunity for the defense to surge forwards.
And ABC Doco with the double pick there on Clockworks and Respect Women. And Sheepdart is currently just... ABC Doggo just cleaning up here at the moment, and that's going to be a done fight. And Wages of the Year holding them at their spawn, basically haven't been able to push very far past this first point checkpoint.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is a good place to set it up, especially considering that they are still running the Reinhardt there as their main tank. Going for a very early hold before the high ground's relevant. Good play there, and oh, that's a big attempt at a shatter. Doesn't quite follow through, commits with the charge anyways, but does actually pick up Oak with that, so the defense is continuing to hold here.
Yeah, defense really just pushed up there, able to take the picks when they liked. The Demon Bomb was used by Widowmaker there, and it didn't quite get what they wanted, and it's just going to be important here. Sheepdog possibly pushing for picks, but that's Lieutenant Chestnut taking big picks again and just able to force them back into this fight. Maxery does get the res on, and as Koalas and Plat are going to be pushing up here. Sheepdart, 18 health there, that's going to be Shatter coming out from Koalas and Plat. Both transfers being popped there, and Sheepdart currently just spamming out their tanks. Clockwork is dead, Finesse taken down, and that is Death Blossom popped out as well, and that's going to get 2 picks, and that will be the hold from Wages of the Year.
Absolutely, and I was going to say that they probably needed to back off there when J-Hole went down, because it would have been a 5v6 fight, but they actually managed to clutch it through with the help of some well-timed support ultimates. And of course, the fact that Maxeri has the Mercy there, able to get the res on ABC Doggo when he goes down as well, very crucial in the early stage of that fight. That said, it looks like the offense might finally be able to break through this spawn hole.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Blade Pop I respect when we're taking down straight away. Finesse taking down by Clockworks, and Sheepdart taking down Smitty. It's going to quite close fight here, but it does look like Koalas and Plat are going to be able to take this. Lieutenant Chestnut popping off once again, winning the Widow duel and taking down Sheepdart. And that will be a one fight finally on this point.
Absolutely. LT Chestnut just putting the team on their back and basically being the difference maker in this match. It really is coming down to whether or not LT Chestnut has the space to work with to just click heads, because every time that Widow has been unmolested, there have just been casualties dropping on the side of the defenders.
Yeah, both fights popped there. Sheepdart tallying up, but we'll know where Lieutenant Chestnut winning that Widow duel there, as we do have an engagement on the card. That's going to be a Diva Bomb being popped out. J-Hole finishing off Lieutenant Chestnut, and Finesse being kicked down by the Windowmaker there, and Cheap Dart as well being taken out. Maxry does pull off the res onto Finesse as J-Hole flying out of that, taking on the bridge. It does look like Respect Women is behind. Clockworks does get the pick onto ABC Doggo. It's going to be it should be Waitress of the Year pulling out here, and that's going to be what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. They are going to be able to slowly grind this one out, and that's sort of very bad news for the defenders there, because now they're going over to this third point, and so far it's really just been like they've really had their best luck when they've seized the initiative, and some of these defensive fights here on the later part of point B, they've really been a lot more reactive, and it hasn't been working out for them. Stun attempt gets blocked out there as Finesse gets stunned out of it, and that is looking very good here for a defense though.
Yeah, but a good chance put out there, and the grab was used there as well, but it's going to be quite close on Koalas. Rex does get the win on that point, and does get a couple picks there as well. J-Hole taking down Clockworks, and it is going to be a 3v5 here at the moment. Finesse taking down Respect Women, and it's going to be a one fight here for Wedges of the Year. Windowmaker pushed up quite far. This could be bad reset here, losing all that energy they worked so hard for, but no, they will get away. And that will be a good fight there for Wedges of the Year, but J-Hole's still out of max, so that could be crucial going into the next fight.
Yeah, absolutely. But Koalas really coming alive for the first time this game, managing to finally get the better end of LT Chestnut and then get a crucial pick onto Smitty as well. So this Widow setup is something that needs to be respected. Finesse already getting the kill on Respect Women though.
Yeah, Finesse dropping a huge shatter there as well. That should be another easily one fight there, Finesse, for Wages of the Year. And that was quite easily done. There is Windowmaker, and Windowmaker's taken down. That's all their charge gone. And that is a huge stagger there for Wages of the Year. 2 minutes left on the clock to final cap this third point.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting that Zarya and resetting a charge is so important. Unfortunately, Windowmaker does already have the grab available, so there is still that threat to worry about. Obviously, that is a bit of an issue, but without the charge there, it's not going to be as dangerous. That said, a lot of ultimates from the attackers available, and they are getting poked down from the off angle. LT Chestnut going on a rather nasty flank there, but Clockworks has been binned again.
Yeah, Finesse there with the charge straight for more than one click, but Respect Women is now on the Genji, taking down Sheep. J-Hole is going to finish off left-hand Chestnut, but that's going to be the grab pop. But ABC Doggo having those transfers for every single grab. Finesse getting slapped, but it doesn't matter, working straight away, and Smitty getting chased down by Finesse here. But Clockworks is back. This should be one for Witches of the Year. They're just staggering hard now, Koalas and Plat. That's a wasted Earth Shatter there. There was no one really there, and that's Dragon Pop as well. That was a one fight. They didn't need to use those ults. And Finesse gets to pick on to Respect Women.
Yeah, absolutely. Some interesting use of ultimates there, but as long as Finesse continues to outplay Clockworks, I suppose you're not too scared on that one. Clockworks does have the Shatter online, and it looks like LT Chestnut has actually gone over to the Ashe, feeling like they're just not getting enough done with the Widow. Need someone able to fight in a bit shorter a range, given that they won't have the space here. Let's see how it plays out, given that they're still going to be playing into a Widow.
Yeah, Finesse taking away Clockworks there. The nano boosted grind, they are going to be pushing Finesse back, but there's no main tank with them now, and so it's free range of damage, and Respect Women does get the pick on Team Xeri, and it's quite a close fight, but it's going to be a 2v4 at the moment in the favor of Wedges of the Year, and this really should be their fight. ABC Doggo putting out a lot of damage, and that's going to be 10 seconds left to try and contest this payload. It should be Wedges of the Year holding on this third point.
Yeah, absolutely. Clockwork's only just respawning now. That Earth Shatter very unlikely to be even available in this final fight. Respect Women getting binned there as Koalas takes them out the moment the Reflect ends. Clockworks finally makes it back in, but the trance is there.
And they're just going to be trying to stagger on cart now, but that's going to be an important pick there from Finesse, and it's just Oak on cart, and he gets shattered, and that should be this first round complete.
Hi.
Yeah, absolutely, and just a very unusual match to be watching here, because at any given point in the match, one of these teams has been absolutely dominant, and it's swapped a couple of times, but it's really hard to say exactly what changed to cause those swaps. It has just been one-sided fight after one-sided fight, and in that sort of situation, it's surprised to see that both teams have been on both ends of those sorts of one-sided fights going on.
Yeah, it's quite a weird game. Like, it's flip of the coin who will win the fight, and it's going to be done in such a dominant fashion. Not too many close fights happening there, and it's just very interesting to see. It's just like the flip of the coin, as I said. And going to this attack, you'd think Waitresses of the Year should have a bit of confidence up their sleeve on that hold for the third point. But there was nothing to be ashamed of from Koalas and Plat. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens on this first point defense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a couple of places where that car can get stalled out before that third point, so it's definitely not a shoo-in that they'll be able to get the full cap here. It's really going to be, I mean, the big deciding factor is going to be that second point. If they can, if they can set up a solid defense at the end of point B, then that can be a really hard one to break because of the respawn advantage and the high ground really favoring the defenders. So that's really what they're going to be wanting. If Koalas and Plat are able to get that one set up, or even able to set up a good first point hold under the arch, then they can absolutely stop this one in its tracks.
It is going to be Koalas and Plat pulling out the 2-2-2 brawl comp, but it's going to be Goats coming out from Waitresses of the Year. So we'll be interested to see how this first fight plays out. Waitresses of the Year hoping to win this one, but they're going straight from the push on the cart, not going to challenge that high ground. So playing Goats from the low ground with not a whole lot of range on them will be interesting to see what comes out.
Yeah, and it looks like LT Chestnut's going to get up, take some very aggressive angles, and sure enough, Karaslex jumping straight on them is going to have to back off there. And they're probably going to be rotating through to try and get the hole under that arch, but they are already setting up a multi-angle poke. That said, Respect Women actually gets punished for it. This is huge for the offense.
Yeah, Karaslex really punishing that dive there, and Finesse does get the charge off the anti. He is anti though, but Clockworks is taken down. That's Left-Hand Chestnut taken down by ABC Doggo, the better sniper in this situation. Ooh. And it should be a one fight here for Waitresses of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've really seen Finesse just absolutely put Clockworks into the bin so far this game. Like, there's been a lot of other positions where players are trading fairly evenly, but in the battle of the main tanks, Finesse is far and apart coming out the dominant player, and that is a huge advantage, especially if you're going to be playing this sort of tank-heavy lineup, because if you've got the better main tank, that's really all there is to it. And so we're really going to need to see the members here of Koalas and Plat on the defense working a little harder to put more resources into Clockworks to try and close that gap.
Yeah, they will be onto Mirror Goats now. It's a shadow used by Finesse, but he will get the charge onto Clockworks, and ABC Doggo helping finish off that kill. They're all pushing on to Finesse now. Both main tanks are down. Speculum is taking out Macarolis wrecked, and it should be one here for Waitresses of the Year, but it is still quite close. No quite decisive winner just yet, but Waitresses of the Year do have the advantage.
Well, there's the grab coming in.
And Sheep just cleaning up there, and Careless Rex throwing the bomb, but possibly hoping for more people to be caught in that grab before they were killed, but it didn't really matter. Clockworks running back, Finesse back on the cart, and they should be Waitresses of the Year, clean pushing the second point.
And that's really disastrous. You really needed that second point hold to be able to realistically stop this one. There is over 4 minutes left on the clock before they get the additional time added there. This is looking very rough for the defense.
Yeah, Oak was taken down there, but Finesse was taken as well, so they're going to be pushing in on this. Ten Chestnut popping the rally, and Widowmaker sending in the grab as well. It's going to be quite close here, but no, Koalas and Plat will start with the one fight here, but as you said, there's going to be 5.5 minutes here for Waitresses of the Year to push this so short. But Lieutenant Chestnut pushing into their spawn and getting a pick on a J-hole, and that's a huge stagger. Even though Lieutenant Chestnut died there, this should be quite good for Koalas and Plat, but they don't have as many ults up.
Yeah, I think the spawn advantage actually favors the attackers though, because the cart is so far forwards. That said, because the cart is still on this side of the wall, it is able to roll. Once they get it on the other side of that barrier, it is going to be so hard to get any sort of advantage going. And sure enough, there's the barrier now. The cart is going to roll through, and it's going to be even at full rollback sitting there. As this fight is already over, though. Waitresses of the Year just rolling over the defense.
Yeah, J-Hole there really with the grab that won them that fight, and just overall Waitresses of the Year winning more of those fights very decisively. Was quite close on that defense, but I think Waitresses of the Year just outplaying them at the moment, but Lieutenant Chestnut really trying to carry their team as much as they could.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we needed to see a bit more from Koalas and Plat. We said that before the game, and it's only becoming more apparent here. And here we have just LT Chestnut absolutely binning the defense.